Hello and welcome to Get Out of Your Own Way Fast by Flipping the Thought Switch. I am so excited to share this with you because if you've been doing all the things in your business, posting, planning, tweaking, trying, and you're still not seeing the results you know you're capable of, or if you're at the point where you know what you should be doing, but you just don't want to do it or you don't know how to do it in a way that actually feels good. This is going to be absolute rocket fuel for you. I've helped dozens of women shift their internal world and scale to consistent 10K plus months, not through more hustle or perfect strategy, but by simply changing how they think, feel, and show up. So that's what we're diving into today. Let me paint the picture. You want to raise your prices. You've been talking about it for months, but every time you go to do it, you freeze. And there's this wave of doubt. What if no one buys? What if people think you're too much? What if it all dries up? Or you want to be more visible. You know your content is powerful and your message matters. But every time you go to post, you second guess everything. You overthink. You procrastinate. You spend way more time than you would like to on ChatGPT. And you feel like it's safer to say nothing at all than risk getting it wrong. Maybe it's sales calls. You know, if you just got on the call, you'd convert, but instead you tinker with your homepage on your website. You scroll social media, you check your email, you avoid it entirely, and then you feel frustrated that you're not making more money. So, what happens next? You take another training, you work on your sales script, you hire another business coach to help you map out a new offer, and for a moment, it feels like progress. It gives you a hit of hope. But underneath it all, you're still circling the same patterns. You're still holding back, you're still overthinking, you're still wondering why it feels so hard to just do the thing. And here's what I want you to know. The problem isn't with your strategy. It's also not that you're lazy or broken. It's it's also not that you're missing some secret piece. I've been there. It's just how you think. And that's not a problem. It's actually really good news because your thoughts shape how you feel. How you feel drives what you do, and what you do creates your results. So if you're not taking the action you want to take, if you feel blocked, resistant, overwhelmed, or stuck, it's not because you're broken. It's not because you need another plan, another strategy. It's simply that the thoughts running the show right now that you probably aren't even aware of aren't aligned with the version of you you're stepping into. And when you change how you think, you naturally shift how you feel. This creates a very different kind of action or response, the kind that feels clean, powerful, inevitable. And we call that inspired action. That's the kind of action that leads to radically different results. That's exactly what I'm going to walk you through today. Inside this masterclass, I'm going to share one of my favorite mindset tools that I teach inside one of my core programs called Thrive. And I'm going to show you how to shift your internal patterns so that the bold, aligned action gets results and that becomes your new default. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Okay, let me know if this resonates. You feel worried about setting your prices too high, fearing rejection or judgment, and doubt whether your work is worth the rates you aspire to charge. Perhaps you have difficulty relaxing into trust that money will come, and often you stress about that feast or famine cycle, feeling uncertain about when the next client, sale, or opportunity will come to you. And you have this sort of feeling that you've hit a glass ceiling in your business and you're just not sure how to break through to the next level. Despite consistent revenue, you're unsure how to scale or further grow without risking burnout or losing what you've already built. There's that fear of if I stop working this hard and drop the ball, it's all going to come crashing down. This is me and Denise Duffield Thomas. I'm a huge fan of Denise Duffield Thomas. She's an incredible money mindset coach from Australia. And here's a photo of me having met her in London a few years ago, looking a bit sweaty and red in the face because it was so hot in the hotel room. And I was so excited about meeting Denise that I actually tripped up over my own chair whilst I was standing up to go and meet her and fell on her foot. Literally stepped on her toes. And she was so gracious and so kind about it. But this is one of my favorite quotes from Denise. You have to decide now that you are enough, that you are smart enough, pretty enough, clever enough, ready enough, and that you can be richer starting today if you're brave enough to define exactly what you want. So, you're here because you are done holding yourself back and sabotaging the success that you dream about. I know you have big dreams. You're here to do big things in the world, and you have recognized that your muddled mindset is costing you big time. So here's the one thing I really want you to take away from this masterclass. Everything is energy. Everything carries energy. The energy behind your actions, these are the behaviors that you do, your intention, your clear goals, your expectations, your emotions, everything carries energy. And that energy shapes the outcome more than the action itself. It's kind of mind blowing, right? And you might not have realized just how much power you hold until now. So, like I said, everything is energy. The thoughts that you think, feelings that you feel, the emotions that are running around in your body, that chemical vibration, all of that creates energy. The words that you say, the ways you move, all create an energy within you. Okay, so energy is created through your emotions, through your feelings, through the words that you speak, through the words that you think. It's created through visualization and the way that you imagine. And it's also created through holding an intention. So everything has energy, everything has a frequency. When you choose to think thoughts, feel feelings, say words, and move in ways that bring about a feeling within you, you are now vibrating at a frequency, at that frequency, whatever you're thinking and feeling. And as you vibrate at the frequency of more money coming to you, for example, you become a match for that reality. And that's when things start shifting. So if you're new to this kind of work, this might sound a bit stretchy and a bit woo, but this is quantum physics. So play with me for a second. I would love for you to imagine, just for a second, being able to move out of your comfort zone and do new things from a place of playfulness, curiosity, openness, and expansion, rather than the contraction that we often feel when we feel fear and overwhelmed and stressed and frustrated, and that inner need to protect yourself. Okay, there's a big difference between feeling contracted when you are in what I call escape states, like fear, overwhelm, frustration, confusion, doubt, and when you're in high vibe or elevated emotions like curiosity, gratitude, passion, love, joy, and that's the inner work. We want to shift into those elevated states to then take inspired action that feels good. So, a little bit about me. I'm Gemma, by the way. I'm Gemma Gilmore, and I'm a mum of three. I was a behavior analyst for 15 years. I dedicated my career and my life pretty much to the beautiful souls of autistic children and their families. And I built a business purely by accident from scratch. And here's me working with a little boy. I did one-to-one therapy. I did social skills clubs. I would do home-based therapy. I would do in-person services, online services. I had a whole team of people working underneath me. And then this happened. This is a pretty old photo now, but I realized very quickly when I became a mum and I had my own children that I couldn't keep going in the way that I had been running my business because hustle was my middle name. I hustled and grinded and totally fell into the trap, which of the belief of if I just work harder, then I'll succeed. If I just work even harder, put more effort into it, then I'll create the results that I want. The problem is there was only so many hours in my day. And I really wanted to be a present mother. I didn't want to work full time. I wanted to work part time. And so my income was capped. I realized that pretty quickly. So I decided I could scale an online business to get more financial freedom, to be able to have the time to be at home with my children a little bit more. So I did that. And I entered the world of online digital courses, and I had an incredibly successful course called the Behavior Academy, which was for primarily for parents of autistic children and other professionals who worked with autistic children. And it wasn't quite as easy as it was made out to be in terms of selling an online course and doing online coaching. And I did my best. It was reasonably successful, but I just felt like I was hitting my head against a brick wall. And it wasn't until the whole world stopped when COVID came, and I realized, having taken a step back, I realized how frustrated I really felt and how absolutely exhausted I felt from trying to do all of the things in the business as a practitioner, all the way through to CEO, to online, like copywriter, to sales manager. I was spinning all the plates. And I had this feeling of dejectedness. I was always making just enough money. I was never in excess or overflow. And I was constantly trying to overanalyze everything in terms of strategy and trying to figure out the how. I was perpetually searching for this missing piece of the puzzle, this magic bullet that would solve all my problems. Because I'm an action taker, I'm a doer, and had pretty good self-belief. So I was looking outside of myself, constantly hemorrhaging hundreds of thousands of pounds on business coaches and courses and marketing, sales courses and coaches, and it was a mess. And I was yeah, feeling quite hard done by this point. The in-person business was very busy. It was doing really well. The online business was doing okay, but it felt super hard and heavy. And I kind of uncovered this belief that it was obviously meant for other people, not for me. So, thanks to somebody recommending to me that I actually hired a mindset coach, at which point I was very skeptical. I've got a master's degree in applied behavior analysis. My background's in behavioral psychology. I've got an undergrad in psychology. I'm a scientist at heart. And the whole chat of kind of mindset work was completely alien to me. However, I was willing to be open and look at things differently. And that's the pivotal piece here. I was so done with everything I've been trying that I was willing to see things differently. So I invested $5,000 in 12 weeks one-to-one coaching, which was a humongous amount of money for me at that time. And it changed my life. So I uncovered a lot of limiting beliefs, distorted thinking patterns. I was taught how to manage my mindset, how to become aware of my thoughts, and how to embody a new identity. I made some big decisions during this time. I had realized that I'd completely fallen out of love with my autism business, which was, again, a massive deal for me. And I decided that I would like to become a mindset coach myself at that point. So I did a bit of research. I completed a certification to become a quantum leap coach. And I started a business very quickly dedicated to empowering business women across the globe. And that really is still my mission today. I call myself a transformation coach now. But 4 years in, I am still absolutely dedicated to getting more money into the hands of incredible women who are here to do amazing things to make a difference in the world. And I love this picture of Wonder Woman. So it wasn't an easy path, right? Like I could feel myself clinging to my old identity, and there was a conflict there. There was massive resistance to this instruction of you just need to drop into your body. I mean, I was like, what are you talking about? I mean, I'd spent 15 years literally being paid to be in my head and problem solve. I was a thinker. I was very cognitively driven. I overanalyzed, I ruminated. There was incessant thinking, overthinking, thinking, overthinking. Just I lived in my head. This whole drop into your body just felt alien to me. There was another bit, a layer of conflict to this. I realized I wanted to be right. So my skepticism led into, no, but I'm right, you're wrong. I was super skeptical. Now I realize, looking back, of actually letting go of control and co-creating. So the end result, I learned to have a lot more awareness of my thoughts, feelings, and responding behavior. And I think the biggest thing for me was I reconnected with the real me, beyond my past, beyond societal conditioning, beyond my limiting beliefs, beyond it all. And this led to something pretty incredible. I gave myself permission for the first time in a very, very long time to follow my joy compass. And everything I did, I decided in this business, everything I did would feel fully aligned and fun. And I really learned how to take inspired action and fall in love with that way of building a business. And the interesting thing is, with taking this new approach and embodying in this new identity and really learning how to train my brain and clean up my thinking and taking inspired action, this new coaching business took off very quickly. Dream clients just came to me and I tripled my income within the first 6 months. I'd never earned this amount of money in my life. And yet I had more time to be with my kids. I had more white space in my calendar. Yoga was now a non-negotiable rather than a luxury. So my life did change. The other thing I really noticed when I look back on this is that I had, or have now, absolute unshakable self-belief, trust, confidence, and self-worth. And it's interesting because if you'd asked me how I felt about those things prior to this work and when I was still working as a behavior analyst, I probably would have said they're pretty good. I didn't realize just how shaky all of those things were until I did this inner work. I also had a proper fear of failure, and I realize. And the difference now is like I actually look forward to failing, which I get sounds a bit weird, but I'm totally cool with failing fast and failing forward because I genuinely seize those opportunities as a learning opportunity. The other massive change for me is that other people's opinions of me, they just aren't a thing anymore. Whereas previously, I would take things so personally. I'm talking a stab to the heart kind of feeling. That was probably one of the biggest changes for me. I was so sensitive. I would take things so personally. And now I'm just like, yeah, water off a duck's back. My people are out there waiting for me to work with them. And I'm not for everybody, right? I'm not for everybody, and that's okay. Like genuinely feeling okay about that. Another thing, I realized I was in massive scarcity and lack. And yet, and more importantly, I totally normalized that. I'd normalized that feeling of scarcity and lack in money. And now I have unwavering trust and faith in money. I'm also able to set and maintain boundaries because, yeah, I was a people pleaser. I would bend over backwards for my clients, going way above and beyond, and then feel utterly exhausted and a little bit resentful at the same time. And there's this amazing ripple effect now, right? I get to share my magic with my clients. They get to share their magic with their clients, their family, and the ripple effect just blows my mind. And it's exciting. So after 15 years of working as a behavior analyst, I discovered the hard way that working really hard at all the hours and writing social media content when you're meant to be bathing your baby and over focusing on solutions and external strategies is not the key to success and making money in abundance. It just isn't. Managing your thoughts and feelings on a daily basis is. So if you've been struggling to make, to create the results you want in your business and make those big money months consistently, this is probably why. You're over focusing on action plans and strategies when you are still stuck in old paradigms and identities that prevent money flowing to you because you are not aligned with this new way of showing up in the world with certainty, trust, and faith. So, in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you how to manage your thoughts and feelings in a way that you can shift your state fast so that you can change how you're showing up, take a different action. Sometimes it can be the same action, but from a completely different energy. But we're here to create the results you truly want in your business and in your life. So here's one of the first things I want you to realize is that you are in charge of how life goes for you. So many of us can fall into sort of pity parties and victim mode, blaming other people, blaming our external circumstances. So I really would love for you to stop believing that anything outside of you is responsible for the money you have or the money that you're capable of generating. Okay, you are solely responsible. So take 100% responsibility for what you can create. Okay, and what you choose to create from here, it's not defined by your past financial mistakes, the amount of debt you might have, or the amount of money in your bank account. The number one determinant for your success is your capacity to manage your mind, not how many business strategies you learn. Your own mind will trip you up over and over again. So I think I've drummed this in enough, but just to remind you, we do create what we think. Your thoughts shape your feelings. Your feelings drive your actions, and your actions create the results you see in your life or in your business. So it goes to show that if you change your thoughts, you change your results. Easier said than done, though, right? So what does this look like in real life or in your business? So it means instead of undercharging out of fear or discounting out of fear, you confidently raise your rates. And dream clients, they pay in full without hesitation. Or instead of hiding or overthinking your content or getting on that reel or video, you show up boldly in your power. And you get DMs from ideal clients saying, I've been waiting exactly for this. Or it could be instead of overworking from a place of scarcity and that belief of if I just work harder, then I'll create the results I want. You actually work fewer hours and you rest and you play and you still hit your income goal with aligned, high paying clients. So, switching gears a little bit, I want to share a little bit about how your brain works. There are two main areas in your brain where you do your thinking. There's the subconscious brain and there's the conscious brain. The conscious brain is the sort of prefrontal cortex or higher brain, and it is really what separates us from animals. So you can sift, sort, discern, analyze information in this part of the brain. And this is where we actually, this is where we create new thoughts or new beliefs. But the problem is it only does 5% of our thinking. A whopping 95% of your thinking is actually done in your subconscious brain. And I like to imagine the subconscious brain like a huge warehouse facility. Okay, it's like a storage facility for all of your memories and beliefs. And its job is to house and recycle and automate anything that goes in there. Now, it's important to remember that whilst 95% of our thinking happens in the subconscious brain, its main job is to protect you and keep you alive. It's wired for survival. Okay. Here's another interesting stat. We have between 60 and 80,000 thoughts a day. So as I've just said, 95% of those thoughts are happening in the subconscious mind, and 75% of that 95% are negative. Your brain is wired to have a negative bias. Okay. So like I said, imagine the subconscious mind like a big storage facility, a big warehouse. And this is a beautiful image that kind of represents that. Each one of these lights in these woods represents a memory or a belief. Okay, so imagine each one of these lights as a memory or belief inside your subconscious brain. And the ones that are repeating and creating the results in your life right now are the ones that are lit up. So how do we change that? How do we change our beliefs? We need to change what's in your subconscious brain that's being lit up on a daily basis. Okay, so we need to dim those lights right down on limiting beliefs, and then we need to light up new beliefs. So how do we do that? We need to install new thoughts that serve you better using that prefrontal cortex, that conscious part of your brain, so that what's being recycled and automated creates what you want. So you need to get your conscious brain to create a new thought, and then get your subconscious brain to take notice of that new thought and to house that new thought and to put that on repeat. So you have to actively and consciously think the way you want to think until your subconscious decides to light up that lamp. And this is the inner work. So it's really helpful to know that your subconscious brain has three main jobs. One, to avoid pain or fear. Two, to seek pleasure. And three, to conserve energy. Okay, it basically wants you to lie on the sofa, binging on Netflix and munching Doritos all day long. It wants to keep you in the familiar, in your safety zone. Anything new, it will read as dangerous and as a potential threat. So pretty much we've got an old brain in a very modern world. And fear in the modern world, like I said, is basically anything new. Anything outside of your comfort zone, which when you think about it, to be successful entrepreneurs is essential for success. We have to be stretching our comfort zones on a daily basis to create the big results that we want. So this is really important information that whenever you feel fear coming up, when you think about doing something different, going to that networking event, speaking on stage, whatever it is, raising your prices, you can acknowledge, oh, this is my brain doing its job beautifully. And even step into gratitude and appreciation for that and tell your brain you've got this. So we want to get the thoughts we want to be thinking using our conscious brain automated into our subconscious. So the first thing is to pay attention, get curious, practice stepping into what I like to call the observer mode, and just start watching your thoughts. You can't change anything until you have this basic level of awareness. So just put a reminder on your phone every day, maybe a couple of times a day, and just start strengthening your awareness muscle by recognizing what thoughts are in your mind. No judgment, just from a place of curiosity. So I want you to know that thoughts are just sentences in your head that your brain is offering to you. And you have the power to choose to accept them or not. Now, this pretty much blew my mind when I first learned this because before I learned any of this kind of work, I just blindly believed my thoughts to be true. If I thought a thought, and I had a feeling which kind of matched that thought, well, then it must be true. And that's just simply not the case. Thoughts are not facts. Let me say that again. Thoughts are not facts. They are simply a lens that you are using, and you can choose to keep them or chuck them. So, yes, you are not your thoughts. You're not what you think. They're yours. They're absolutely yours. We want to take 100% ownership. They're my thoughts. Even ones we got from parents, teachers, societal conditioning, all that stuff, they're still my thoughts. I'm the one still thinking them, but they are not you. Okay. You are not what you think. So I love this quote from Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he says, to change is to think greater than how we feel. To change is to act greater than the familiar feelings of the memorized self. So bring awareness and download your thoughts, journal on them, write them down. There's something really powerful about getting them out of swimming around in your head and onto paper and seeing them in black and white. It just makes them a little bit more concrete and tangible. Like I said, we're not here to beat ourselves up for thinking so negatively. We're here to stay in curiosity. So I love using this little sentence stem. This is what I always train my clients to use. I'm noticing. I'm noticing my brain is offering me the thought. I'm noticing I'm experiencing the emotion of doubt. I'm noticing. It just helps create that little bit of separation and distance. So we want to allow any and all of feelings that might come up without resistance and notice the physical sensations that you feel in your body. Okay, this is absolutely vital. And none of us are taught this, right? None of us are taught how to feel our feelings, but we simply learn to resist them and to do things that avoid them so that we can escape them. And the fact is, what you resist will persist. So we want to really practice giving yourself permission to be with all and any feelings that might come up. And you do that by focusing on the physical sensations you feel in your body rather than the stories and the narrative that your brain will naturally want to throw at you. Okay, that's how you process an emotion. You stay in the body. So when we clean up what we're thinking, we automatically change how we feel. And here's the tool that I want to teach you today. It's called Thought Model. It's not new psychology, but the way this has been put together is really effective in terms of cleaning up your thinking to change how you feel, to take a different action, to create a different result. So we have circumstances in our lives and in our businesses. They're always factual and they're always external. So they're things outside of you. And something or someone you can't control. So it could be another person, it could be your past, it could be the government, it could be the weather. And then we have a thought. We have a sentence in our head, in our brain about that circumstance. Now, this is the important part. Your thoughts are not facts. The circumstances are the facts. Your thoughts are like a filter, a perception, or a lens that you are using. From this thought, you have a feeling. These are vibrations that you experience in your body. Okay, they're energy in motion that actually want to move through you. But because none of us are taught how to regulate our emotions, most of us just sort of suppress and taboo them and do something else instead. From the thought and feeling combination, we take an action. These are the behaviors, the things that you do based on how you feel. Now, for the thought model, it can also be an inaction, the things that you don't do, or a reaction. They can also be decisions that you make or don't make, and rapid fire thoughts. So there can be a lot going on in the action line. And the result is the personal results that you are creating for yourself in your business or in your life. So here's how this works. You write out your 5 lines, CTFAR. You write the circumstance, just pick something in your life. And then you ask, what is my thought about this circumstance? Then you ask yourself, what do I feel when I'm thinking this thought? And there could be a bunch of thoughts and there could be a bunch of feelings, by the way. You want to pick one, the main thought that you think and the main feeling that you feel when you think that thought. And then ask yourself, when I feel like this, what do I do? What's your typical response? in this context or circumstance? And then what is the result? What is that creating for me? So we write this out first as the unintentional model. Okay, this is just the snapshot, the reality of what's going on in this moment. So here's a real life example from one of my clients. She was told to review a landing page. So a landing page is just simply a kind of online page that describes a little bit about her offer, her coaching services. Her first thought when she's thinking about reviewing her landing page is, I can't do this. Massive resistance. I just can't do this. She's a bit of a technophobe. Okay, so what is behind this resistance? All right. And it was fear. It was fear. Okay, so from the fear, what does she do in the action line? Well, she takes inaction. She doesn't review the landing page. And what she actually does instead is she flicks through TV channels and she eats chocolate cake. Classic procrastination, right? And the results, well, the landing page isn't published because she hasn't reviewed it. So that's the reality. That's the snapshot of what's going on. Then we write out the 5 lines again, CTFAR. And this is the intentional model. In a perfect world, how would I like things to be? Now, the circumstance doesn't change. The landing page still needs to be reviewed. Everything else is in her power to change. Okay? So I asked her, how would you like to feel when you think about reviewing the landing page? And she said, I want to feel focused and in flow. Great. Okay, let's go thought shopping. What do you need to think to be able to feel focused and in flow? Now, this is where you need to imagine going into your favorite clothing store and you're going to select a t-shirt and a dress and a jumper and a pair of jeans. And you're going to go to the fitting room and you're going to try it all on. And you know when you're trying on clothes, oh, this feels really good, or this is not me. And it's the same with trying on thoughts. Okay, you need to say them out loud a few times and notice the energy shift. So this requires a little bit of brainstorming and a bit of playing. So the one we landed on for her was, I know this and I can do this. Okay, great. She felt focused and in flow. What action are you inspired to take from this thought and feeling combination? And she said, I feel like I could just review the landing page right now and feed back to my business coach. And the results that could come from that, well, the landing page is published. Simple, right? So ask yourself the following questions when you're doing the thought model. When I think this thought, how does it make me feel? And when I feel this, what do I do or not do? And what is this creating for me? So always write out the unintentional model first and then write out the intentional model. And here's some rules. One circumstance, one thought, one feeling. You can put a bunch of stuff in the action line, one result. And also you can start at any line. It doesn't need to be in order. You can start the results line if you want. I prefer the feeling line, but it's a personal thing. So a little reminder, you own your thoughts. You own your thoughts and you own your feelings and you own your actions and your words. They're all yours. Anything between your nose and toes. But you have the power as a conscious creator to change any of them at any time. So here's some extra tips. Try on thoughts that feel good. Does that thought feel thinkable or does it feel fake? Okay, always be aware of that. If it feels too stretchy, then you can use little baby thoughts or bridging thoughts. For example, if the thought I am good enough just feels too untrue, how about I am capable? Or I want to believe that I am good enough. You can also try borrowing a belief, use a belief that's working well in another area of your life, or ask your future self, the version of you who's already created the results you want now. So once you've consciously created your new thought and you're like, yeah, that works really well, how do we then signal to your brain that this new thought that you've invested time and energy in creating is important? It's all about repetition and feeling. If you want to rewire new beliefs, you have to repeat your new thought as much as possible and feel into it. You're wasting your breath if you're just saying the thought over and over and over again and there's no feeling behind it. Okay, so the mantra here is think, feel, act. It's energy first, then action. So take it from me, having learned the hard way, action can't trump negative thoughts. Take the time and invest in cleaning up your thoughts and feelings, and then take action and notice the magic unfold. So I genuinely believe that self-regulation is the missing link to our next level of success, and it is the key to creating a happy and successful life. So self-regulation is basically your ability to create your own emotional state proactively based on you deciding what it will be rather than relying on your external circumstances. So this is stepping into your power. You have four superpowers: your thoughts, words, actions, and thoughts, feelings, actions, and words. They are your greatest gifts, and yet none of us are using them. Your take home point: don't wait for things to happen in the world. Decide ahead of time what you want to create, the results you want to create in your life, and decide how you want to feel. Be intentional about it. We've got one life. Okay, so by now you know, hopefully, that your thoughts create your feelings drive your actions, your results are a reflection of your internal patterns. So if you want to change your results, you have to change what's happening inside first. Okay, 80% of our time should be on this work, just 20% on strategy. So the obvious question, stay where you are or come and work with me. Get my support and raise your game. I would love to personally invite you to one of my core programs called Thrive. So I really want you to just imagine for a second having the thought model fully integrated as a self-coaching tool that you can use whenever funky feelings come up and funky thoughts come up. Imagine being able to regulate your emotions with ease and shifting into calm and clarity, even when things don't go to plan, because a lot of being an entrepreneur is about the resilience, the bounce back ability to keep going. Imagine becoming the woman who naturally thinks, feels, and leads like her next level self. This is what we do inside of Thrive. It's a 4-week immersive where we take a deep dive into learning and implementing the thought model. Okay. I'm going to teach you how to shift your state fast so you can create the results you want fast. So we do, it's a full focus on the thought model. We rewire your limiting beliefs. We take aligned action without spiraling and getting into hustle mode or overwhelm and procrastinating instead. It's the inner work that helps you stop self-sabotaging and start creating results with clarity, confidence, and calm. Okay, you had a little taster today. This is a deep dive into the thought model and how you can use it to self-regulate. So by the end of this 4-week little journey, you'll have mastered the thought model so you can shift how you think, feel, and respond and navigate challenges with clarity. You'll be able to coach yourself through doubt or fear, anything that will come up. Because let's face it, the reality is those emotions will come up every time you up your game. Okay? New levels, new devils, right? And feel empowered to create the results you actually want. It's all about feeling like you have a tool to help you feel in control and empowered to be able to create the results that you really want. So I attract the most incredible women into all of my containers. And here's some lovely words from previous clients who have gone on to do Thrive. You can press pause if you want and read them. So here's what you actually get. There's 2 options for Thrive. You can choose a self-study option and do it at your own pace and complete the modules in your own time. Or you can choose to get live personalized support inside the coaching experience. So you'll get coached by me We'll do weekly live group coaching calls where we'll do like a hot seat style coaching experience. So everybody gets a turn. And then you have access to a private Facebook group so that you can access me and my support in between our weekly calls. And I can give you feedback on thought models that you can just take a quick screenshot of and share inside the group. So you get 4 group coaching calls if you want that up-leveled experience with my support. Whichever option you go for, it's lifetime access to the course. And this is a relatively new offer. I only started it in 2024. So I'm sort of still building it out. You get access to everything, all future updates. If you buy it for the May cohort, or you also get access to the Mindset Reset 10-day audio series, which is a phenomenal little bingeable kind of audio series inside a Telegram channel, typically valued at £111. That's what it would cost to buy that separately, but I'm going to throw that in for you as well. So it's now open for the May cohort. Like I said, self-study option is available at £99, or you can do the live group coaching option for £600. And if you join now, today, you get access straight away, so you can get going with the self-study modules. So as a little reminder, why you're here, it's time to move beyond the superficial and connect you with your infinite potential. Okay, I truly believe that. It's time to share your gifts with the world. Your people are out there right now waiting for you to make yourself visible and known. And it's time to let go of those societal norms and limiting beliefs that have shaped your narratives and start writing a new one, because you can choose that. You can choose that right now to start rewriting a new story, one that your future self cannot wait for you to start embodying. So, this isn't just about mindset. This is about becoming the woman who owns her power, trusts her big vision, and creates consistent results with ease, clarity, and calm. We're here to have fun, right? So I'd love to invite you to Thrive. If you scroll down, you'll be able to see a little button which you can click and get more information. If you've got any questions at all, feel free to email me or DM me on Facebook, and I'd be happy to have a chat. Okay, take care.